Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and apologies for a very late video. This is quite an interesting video. It's of a test where my student failed and I will highlight and tell you where he failed. So coming out of the test center, the examiner gave him instructions turning right and from the mini roundabout taking the right turn, which is the second exit on the right. But my student didn't understand him correctly and carried on straight. So you will see from ahead, the examiner will bring him round fourth exit all the way back to that mini roundabout. Just for your information, this is not a fail. As long as you've done nothing serious or dangerous, the examiner won't fail you. As you can see, he's making my learner go all the way around that roundabout, the Amazon roundabout, and bringing him back to that mini roundabout where he's going to ask him to turn left. And from here, he's turning left. Now here, the examiner asked him to pull up on the left at a safe place. So he looked for a safe place, then checked his mirror, put a signal on and pulled up safely. As you must be aware, the examiner will ask you to pull up on the left at least 3 to 4 times during your driving test. And this is just so they can make sure you pull up at a safe place, you check your blind spots when you're moving off. Then the examiner asked my learner to pull up on the left again. So he was looking for a safe place to pull up. As he decided to pull up here, the examiner kept on telling him to keep going further, closer to the parked car, because he wanted him to stop a car length away from the parked car. So very important, when you're pulling up, you gotta make sure you're close to the curb but not to hit the curb, and making sure you don't stop on a double yellow line, a driveway or somewhere where you shouldn't stop. Then the examiner asked my learner to drive off and is safe to do so. So he made sure he checked his blind spots, put a signal on and moved off. So far, he's doing really good. No serious, no major mistakes. Just a minor in the beginning where he didn't turn right on the mini roundabout. Now coming up to the end of the road, the examiner asked him to turn right and then the first exit from the mini roundabout. Again, you can see he's very careful, checking and not pulling out of in front of oncoming vehicles. From this mini roundabout, he asked him to take the first exit on the left. It's a very tight turn, and if you're not used to this bend, you can very easily go over the curb or hit the island in the middle. So a lot of practice needed there. Then again, the examiner asked him to pull up on the left. You can see how often they are asking him to pull up on the left. That's just so they can tick off all the tasks they want him to do. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that he is following the Satnav. So the Satnav was giving him instructions. The only time examiner was giving him instructions was when he wanted him to pull up on the left. So this was all Satnav. Now he's following the Satnav, and the Satnav starts giving him instructions that turn left. After turning left, the examiner was kind enough to tell him that there's a bend on the right. So you can put a right signal on, or you can just carry on going. So he chose to just carry on going, which is absolutely fine. This is a bend basically. Just to remind you again, he's following the Satnav, and the examiner is kind enough to help him out in certain places. Now the Satnav was telling him to turn left at the end of the road. So he asked the examiner, is it this left or the next one? And as I said, the examiner was kind enough to tell him that it's not this one, it's the next one. But not all the time the examiners will be like this. Sometimes the examiner will reply back and say, do what you think is right. Now approaching the Civic Hall, Tilbury Civic Hall, which is a one-way system. So far he's been doing really good, no serious mistakes. Now coming up to the traffic lights, crossroad, and turning right. Now it's always good to plan ahead, because sometimes the traffic light can change and you can end up on the cycle section, which is at the end. Always make sure you keep that clear and stop before that. The examiner will stop you quite a lot of times during your driving test. So coming up to this St. Chad's mini roundabout, the examiner said straight ahead, which he dealt with it perfectly, but you gotta make sure you slow down enough so you can see what's coming from your right hand side. So following the Satnav, what I always tell my learners is to look at the yards on top, and when it's showing 50 yards, that's when you should check your mirrors and put a left signal or right signal on. The time can change and the yards can change. If there's another turning before, then sometimes you have to delay it further than 50 yards, because you just don't want to mislead anyone on the road by putting your left signal on and then not turning. But 50 yard so far around Tilbury has been pretty good. I always say when the a sat nav showing 50 yards, then you can check your mirror and put a left signal or put a signal on. Now the other thing, this test is from last year. Probably you can see the date at the bottom. I just didn't get the time to edit it and post it. It does take a long time, so apologies for that. But hopefully soon after this one I will be getting ready to do another one. I've got one saved already, so happy days. Now approaching this roundabout, the Satnav gave instructions to take the second exit. Now you can use both lines. You can be on the left or right, but I prefer to be on the left side and then swinging the car to the left. And as you pass your first exit, then you can put a left, check your left mirror and put a signal on. Now on the next roundabout, the examiner gave him instructions before the sat-nav and said it's going to be the third exit on the right, because for some reason the sat-nav always gives late instructions on this roundabout. So you're just about to approach and that's when it gives you the instructions. So that's why the examiner helped him out here. So just to remind you lot that he is following the sat-nav and it's the sat-nav that's giving him instructions. So he's coming up to the Chadwell Hill and the sat-nav already gave him instructions that we are going to turn right. Now most of you may know that turning right from here, you don't have to wait in the middle because the traffic light changes differently to the oncoming traffic. So when it's gonna be green for him, he doesn't have to wait in the middle. He can just carry on and turn right. Now you can see how he stopped. He's given enough room in the middle because on a hill, a car in front of you can roll back. So you have to keep that in consideration and leave a slightly bigger gap with the car in front of you. Also, this is a quite an old video from last year. I did mention it earlier in the video that I recorded it but never had a chance to voice over it and post it. So yeah, you may see the dates on the video, which is from last year. Now here you don't really have to indicate right because the road is just bending to the right, but if you do, that's not a mistake. So as long as you're not misleading any car through your indication, then you're not doing any mistake. Soon the examiner will ask him to pull up on the right hand side to do the right hand reverse maneuver. So pulling up, you got to make sure you don't block a driveway or stop somewhere where there's double yellow line or zigzag lines. And once you do pull up, then he will ask you to reverse back, staying close and parallel to the curb, which means basically don't hit the curb or don't end up too far out and obstruct other traffic on the road. So the trick is to stay close to the curb and reverse back very slowly. You can see how he stops for any car coming towards him. That's the main thing you have to do when you're doing a right hand reverse, is any car approaching to you from the front or back, come to a complete stop. Try not to stop too early. If the car's too far away, then let the car come a bit closer. What I normally tell my learners is imagine a 3 or 4 car length bubble around you, and if anybody enters that 3 or 4 car length bubble, you come to a stop. You can see he's taking his time, not rushing it, even though the examiner had told him that drive off when you're ready to. So the maneuver just finished. He done well in that maneuver, no mistakes. Now the examiner asked him at this point that whenever it's safe to do so, put your window down and up again. And he does it very easily and very safely. Now remember, once you've given the instructions to wind your window down and up, you don't have to do it straight away. Say, if you, for example, if you're dealing with a roundabout, a crossroad, you can deal with that first and then come back and do the window up and down, or any show me question. You don't have to rush into it. Now he's approaching that mini roundabout, and the Satnav has instructed him to turn right, second exit. And here the Satnav has instructed him to take the second exit, which is straight ahead. So he's been doing really good so far. He hasn't accumulated any major or serious faults up till this stage. Yes, minor mistakes, you always get minors. As long as you don't exceed the 15 minor, you will still pass your driving test. Another piece of information is that if you do the same minors, like say 3 same minors, then they become a major. So they have to be different minors. Say for example, if you're missing your mirrors and you do it 3 times, then that becomes a major mistake. Or if you're not indicating on time and you do it 3 times, then this becomes a major mistake and you eventually fail your test. But so far he's been doing really well. He's got minor mistakes at this point, but not many. And the other good thing about his driving is that you can see he's in a country lane and he's not too slow. A lot of learners, what they do, they drive slow and the examiners fail them for that. Now, if you're on a straight stretch of road and you can see clearly well ahead, then pick up speed. But if you're coming up to a bend where you can't really see what's coming around the corner, that's where you should slow down. So you can see his speed is reaching up to 40 miles per hour on this country lane, which is really good. Now soon the satellite navigation will come to an end, and the examiner starts telling him that I will be giving you instructions from here on. So coming up to the Orset roundabout now, and the examiner has told him to take the third exit towards Brentwood, which is straight ahead, and use the middle lane. So the examiners do help you, and they do tell you to use the middle lane because the left lane is only for the first exit coming up to Orset roundabout from this road. So the examiner alerted him, told him to stay in the middle line and go straight ahead, third exit towards Brentwood. He did put a right signal on here, which he should have not, because straight ahead you don't put a right signal on. Now this is where his first mistake comes. You can see he's drifted to the right hand lane, even though the examiner told him to stay on the middle lane. So he moved over to the right lane without checking his mirrors. That was his first serious mistake. Now here the examiner is reminding him that our exit is coming up soon. So he keeps telling him that the next exit is ours, but he's still on the far right. Then eventually he moves into the middle lane and then takes his exit from the right side, which he's allowed to. Then he's supposed to merge in with the cars coming from the left, which he's done. So the first serious mistake was joining the roundabout. From staying in the middle lane, he just moved over, drifted to the right lane without checking his mirrors. If he would have checked his mirrors, then the examiner would have not marked it down as a serious mistake. And at the end of the test, when I asked him, he doesn't even remember moving to the right lane. He thought that he did everything fine, but when I showed him this video, that's when he realized that he just followed the car in front of him, and just as the car in that car was on the right lane, and he just automatically followed the car to the right lane. End of the road, the examiner asked him to turn left. So on roundabouts, lane discipline is very important. If you're starting from the middle lane, you should stay in the middle line on the roundabout. And when it's time to change lanes, you should check your left mirror, put a left signal on, then change lanes. If you're unconsciously changing lanes, like not even knowing that you've changed lanes, that there's definitely something wrong. And obviously the examiners are there to pick up your mistakes. They will not let go of any mistake. Now here the examiner asked him to turn left from the end of the road. Now the road was pretty busy at that time of and my student took his time, checked correctly before he turned left at the end of the road. Now soon he's approaching Orset Roundabout again, and the examiner in good time gave him instructions to take the first exit, number 1, which is sharp on the left. So this is where his second mistake will happen. So the examiner kept on reminding him that we're approaching the roundabout, take the first exit, which is sharp to the left. He even says number 1 exit, just to clarify. Now he approaches the roundabout in the correct position. He's on the left hand lane to take the first exit, which is joining the A13. But then for some reason he just follows the vans straight, which he shouldn't. And at this point the examiner reminds him it's this left, and you can see how he panics and gets close to the curb and then pulls the car away from the curb. Luckily he didn't hit the curb, but this was his second mistake. Now if he would have carried on without getting the car close to the curb and not causing that situation where the car could have hit the curb, he would have still been fine, picked up a minor mistake, because if you can't follow the instructions but you're safe on the road, the examiner can't mark you down for a serious or a dangerous mistake. But he actually made the situation worse and nearly about to hit the curb, so that was his second dangerous mistake. Now he did realize at this point that he's done something, and he starts apologizing to the examiner, saying, I'm really sorry, I didn't realize, and I was thinking that the exit was a bit further ahead. And obviously the examiner will say, that's okay, don't worry about it, it's okay, but they will do their job. So if you've done something dangerous, it's game over for you basically. Now here, the examiners don't normally make you turn the car around, but this examiner does. And he tells him to use the turn right and then do another right to go round back on ourselves. So you can see here, he's making him pull up on the right side. This is the right way. He's not doing anything wrong, or the examiner's not making him do anything wrong. But normally you don't see them making you turn the car around to go back. But here he's making him go back on himself towards Orset Roundabout. Now, the examiner's telling him that we're going back to Orset Roundabout and you're going to be taking the fifth exit all the way around to the right, where signs are posted towards M25 Dartford Crossing A13W. So it's the fifth exit. Normally they never bring you from here asking you to take the fifth exit. If they're on a different route and they bring you from this direction, then it's normally the third exit, which is straight ahead Chadwell St Mary. But obviously the examiner wants him to go back on track where he messed up earlier, so now it's going to be the fifth exit all the way around towards A13W. Now luckily the road markings tells you, so the examiner is reminding him that we're gonna go to stay on the A13W lane. So they do try and help you out as much as possible. They're not there to fail you for no reason. I get a lot of that, oh, the examiner didn't like me. No, that's not true. They're there to do their job. I've had 12-year experience and I've never seen anyone being wrong or just failing you just because they don't like you. They do their job correctly. They have a standard to follow. If you can't come up to that standard, then they won't pass you basically. So he's taken the correct exit. Now he's joining A13. He's a good driver. You can see he picks up speed. He looks where he's supposed to. But just the two mistakes he's done so far has costed him his test. Now at this point the examiner tells him that we're going to be taking the next slip road coming off A13, joining towards Tilbury and Dock. Now we're joining the 1089 from A13. So he does everything fine, no problems. Actually, there is another mistake he does right on the last roundabout, which I will point out. Up here, he's doing everything fine. He's staying on the left lane. He's doing good speed, so no problem at all. And the mistake he does is similar to the first mistake, where he didn't stay on his side of the road on the roundabout. So he approaches this roundabout and the examiner asks him to take the second exit towards Tilbury town centre. So ideally you want to stay on the left lane, swerve the car staying on the left side, and then when you pass the first exit you put a left signal, check your left mirror and take the exit. Now what he does, you would notice that he cuts into the right lane. From the left line he cuts into the right lane, then comes back to the left line, and that's a serious mistake. So this is another serious mistake he picks up. So once he gets closer to the roundabout, I will mention it where it happens, and you people can also see it, how he deals with it. So they are making their way back to the test center now. Now this is a big roundabout. There's a lot of lorries on this roundabout because the third exit is towards Tilbury docks. So a lot of lorries use this roundabout. Now the examiner started telling him that we will be taking the second exit towards Tilbury town centre, and it's mentioned on this diagram, nice and clear, second exit. Now here I want you to pay attention how he starts from the left side and he's supposed to swing, but if you can see now he's getting into the right side and now he's getting back to the left side. So that's a serious mistake. If you're staying on the left side joining the roundabout, you're supposed to stay on the left side, swerve the car to the left, don't intrude the right hand lane, because the right hand lane is for the third and the fourth exit. So, and there was no observations when he cut into the right side of the roundabout, so that is a serious mistake. So now the examiner will bring him back to the test center, and then I was listening to the debrief. He told me what went wrong, and yeah, unfortunate he couldn't pass, but best of luck to him in future. You know how hard it is nowadays to get a test date, so my recommendation would be to be 100% ready before you go for your test, because if unfortunately you can't pass, then you gotta wait for another 6 months or splash out some money. So there are people who do early test dates, not that I know of anyone, but I know a lot of my learners pay them about £200-300 to get an early date. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully very soon I will post another video now, because I get a lot of requests. A lot of people text me, message me saying that these videos help a lot. I've been very busy lately. I had a small baby as well, so really busy, so that's why it took me a year to post this next video. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe my channel and tell others who are planning to do their test in Tilbury to watch my videos, and I'm sure it will help everyone. Thank you very much. Bye.